Well, all right. Let's talk some Zach Taylor. A lot of people are criticizing Zach Taylor's. I'm seeing some people saying Zach Taylor is the reason the Bengals lost the Super Bowl. And listen, I love me a good making fun of Zach Taylor session. However, I don't know if I can fully jump on that train in this game. There were some obviously very good things Zach Taylor did in this one. I thought schematically he was able to fake out the Rams a few times and what his running game was to be able to get Joe Mixon in the second level pretty effectively. Obviously, I thought that the Joe Mixon passing touchdown was really smart and very well timed and everything. I thought that was brilliant. But of course, nobody is really criticizing the first half. It's the second half. What went wrong? Why did the offense stall as badly as it did? Well, let's talk about it. I think this chart is interesting to me. So this was during that 5-drive stretch where they weren't able to get anything going. So basically, right after the Matthew Stafford interception, they had a field goal because they were already in field goal range, and then 4 straight punts before the final drive, that they had. What you see is that they did not do too well. The running game was fine, actually. 4 yards per carry, so 32 yards on 8 carries. The passing game, not so much. 1 yard per drop back, 17 yards on 17 plays. Also worth noting, they got 17 yards on a screen pass on a 4th and 22. If you take that out, they literally did not gain any yards on a drop back. So, not to mention, there were 7 sacks in this stretch. So, clearly, I think looking at this, you can kind of say, okay, well, actually, the issue was not that Zach Taylor played too conservative. It wasn't that he ran the ball too much because the running game was working way better than the passing game was. And that's kind of true. And even going over to the tape now and seeing okay, so you see how there are 2 safeties who are deep for the Rams. So this basically means the Rams are not trying to stop the run, which is an interesting strategy, right? But the Rams, I think, are making the right call here. They're down 1 score. You're not down a ton. You're okay with them burning some clock here. What you're not okay with is them scoring points. That's what you have to do. You have to stop them. There's plenty of time left. Don't worry about them running the football, even with 10 minutes left. And as you see on this play, well, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to be a good run. You see Joe Mixon is able to run and get to the second level and pick up the first down. So this is part of how they were able to get some good runs going, is you're just able to block everybody. With 2 safeties deep, there is no unblocked man in the box, so it's just easier to run the football. However, now let's go to a play like this, where again, you can't see one of the safeties on the screen, but trust me, there are 2 safeties deep on this play. However, watch how A'Shawn Robinson is just going to be able to very quickly get a tackle here. He does not allow Mixon to be able to run too much. So that's kind of the dilemma is, yes, you have someone to block everybody, but you have to then block everybody. And this Rams defensive front is so good that it's not so easy to do that. So that's just something that can make things a little bit more difficult. So this is where the dilemma comes in. And quite frankly, there was a couple of times where you saw a couple of these first and second down runs that would set up 3rd down and long. So right here, what you're going to see is that this is going to be a 3rd down and 9 right here. So this is kind of the whole thing, right? Because you ran the ball, now it's a 3rd down and 9, and now you're in a tough spot if you're Joe Burrow. This offense can't really function to get these chunk plays on 3rd and 9 too frequently against the Rams. It can against maybe some other teams, but the issue is, the Rams already do a great job of taking away deep stuff. Yes, Jalen Ramsey got burnt twice in this game, although one was due to a penalty, but that wasn't called, but still. But also on a 3rd down and long, which this is, the offensive line really has to hold up. You have to block for more time than you're typically used to because you just have to let your guys get further down the field. And this is why you see more sacks happen on a 3rd down than on a 2nd down or a 1st down. It's because a quarterback is usually waiting a half second longer to throw the football. Look, as you see, Burrow's going to look up and he doesn't really have time to throw the football because the pressure gets there. So this is where one of those situations where pass rush can get there before guys can get open. Usually you'll have an opportunity to get to a first read, but not on 3rd downs. On 3rd downs, you don't. And so this could be part of the argument of why those stats could potentially be misleading, because you ran the ball on 1st and 2nd down and maybe had some success, but eventually something is going to go wrong, putting your quarterback in a spot where he has to bail you out on 3rd and long. He gets sacked, you go backwards, and now his numbers look worse, even though it was the situation he was put in due to the running game. That's not a completely accurate representation of all of it, but it certainly was part of the representation. And also, to bring up something like this, I've always been kind of a believer in, I think coaches do get too much criticism when their team loses a game. I think that's something that happens pretty frequently. I think people love to blame coaches. People don't love to blame players, but there's players who deserve blame, and probably none bigger than Tyler Boyd here. To set the stage, it's another one of those 3rd down and 9 situations, but you get the first down here. Who knows? Maybe you're one first down away from at least being able to get a field goal and putting yourself up 7. So that would be great. You're also killing 2 minutes with every first down you get. So if you can rattle off a couple of these, you could potentially win. This is a big play. Instead, what you're going to see is that, again, the play call works. Boyd was open, and he gets, he just drops the football right there, which is just not what you want to see have happen. So that was obviously tough. And I don't know if Tyler Boyd gets the first down if he hangs on to that. I really don't. I think it could have gone either way. But obviously, that's something that makes the offense look worse and also makes the play caller look worse when the offense doesn't execute. And that was just the thing that happened, is the offense just didn't execute certain plays. And at the end of the day, sometimes you call the right play and the players don't execute it correctly. That's also a thing that can happen. So is there some criticism you can lay on Zac Taylor? I think so. I think that's probably fair, but I don't think that much. I certainly wouldn't sit here and say Zac Taylor cost them this game. I actually think Zac Taylor's play calling was probably a net positive when you factor in all of the good stuff he did in the first half. One more chart to talk about. So what are we looking at here? This was that 4th down and 1 in the middle of the field, which I didn't see it get that much criticism, which I was happy with, because typically people love to criticize a 4th down call that doesn't go the way that the offense wanted it to go, which of course I think is silly. I think if you're going to criticize something that doesn't work, you also have to criticize it when it does work. I do not criticize these types of calls, so I'm not going to criticize it when it doesn't work either. That's my mindset on it. Because the play call, it was Cincinnati had a 4th down and 1 at the Rams' 49-yard line, so you're right at midfield. The recommendation was medium to go for it. Basically, you have a 69% chance to get it, and obviously, it's a bigger benefit to have the ball and be close to in field goal range than just the field position. That obviously has a pretty significant difference. So again, people always criticize these. I did see some people criticize it. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think this is a bad day by Zac Taylor by any means. I don't expect much from Zac Taylor. I was actually pleasantly surprised in certain areas. I thought he played aggressive at times with the 4th down stuff. A couple of those deep shots worked, which, I think some people would have maybe been afraid to try Jalen Ramsey. He said, no, we're going to try it. That worked out. And then, the plays didn't work towards in the second half, but I didn't think the plays that were called were really that bad. Maybe I would like to see a little bit more aggressiveness, a little bit more throwing. I was a fan of when Kyle Shanahan threw the ball in the Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl, even though that didn't work out. So I usually like to see a little bit more aggressiveness, but I thought that it wasn't the worst in the world. That's kind of my thing. I think he's probably getting too much criticism, but that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on all of this? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.